Welcome to this Forza Motorsport track guide for Watkins Glen. This will hopefully make you faster and, more importantly, make you rely less on the braking line. In the first track guide for Barcelona, I've talked about how and why a track guide can help you with that and how it allows you to focus more on your surroundings. If you haven't seen that video yet, I will link it for you here and at the end of the video. As we did in that first episode, we will again focus on GT cars here, so remember to adjust your braking points depending on the car you're in. I will be showing you the lap in the Dodge Viper GTS, and you will always be able to see my inputs for braking and accelerating in the bottom right. I'm HD Racing, and if you'd like to see more track guides like this one, let me know and subscribe to the channel to see when they get released. But without any further ado, let's take a look at my favorite American track, Watkins Glen, starting with a full circuit. Heading into turn 1, you will want to focus on the braking boards on the left side. Stay as far left as possible, but don't go onto the grass. While there is a bit of space on the left of the white line in the beginning, that will disappear as you approach the corner, so be careful. Look for the 300 board and brake around halfway between it and the 200 board. A good reference I like to use is where the barrier on the side loses its top row, as you can see here. Brake as much as you can without locking up the wheels and only trail off the brake as you start to turn in. You will want to turn in kind of late, as the corner exit is very important. Looking at the curb on the inside, you will notice that it kind of has two parts. You will want to get your right wheels on the flat part, but avoid the more raised bit further to the inside. Accelerate as you hit the curb, as you can run your car very wide on exit. The track limit here is the edge of the curb on the outside, so as long as you keep at least two wheels on the curb, your lap is still valid. Turn 1 is probably the most crucial corner, as there is a long stretch of full throttle up the hill and beyond. So make sure to practice this corner a lot to maximize track space and therefore exit speed. As I said, this next section is all full power in most cars, as long as you nail these next apexes. For the first right-hander, go close to the curb on the inside and try to keep the car there until the curb ends. You will then want to turn in for the left-hander and again go close to or even on the curb. Going over the crest, look for the next apex at the barrier on the right side and once again go close to the curb. On the exit, you can let the car run very wide because you want to be on the very left of the track anyway for the upcoming braking zone. As the braking boards are flying by very quickly at these speeds, look for the ambulance on the other side of the barrier, which is parked roughly at the 300 board. This is also your braking point, maybe a tiny bit later. You will want to brake quite hard and start to turn in, aiming to just miss the barrier on the right. You will want to release the brake though before you hit the first curb, as being on the brake over that can unsettle some cars heavily. You can see here how close you can go to the barrier to have a nice line through the upcoming bus stop chicane. Because you will most likely still be too fast because you had to release the brake, you will want to step the brake again shortly after you've cleared the first curb and before you hit the second one. Make sure your car is straight for that though. If done correctly, this will give you the best line possible by going over the second curb and still off throttle, turning to the left. Once you see that you will make it to the third curb, hit the power though and start accelerating out, going over both the third and fourth curb. As long as two wheels stay on the curb, you can even cut over the grass a little if necessary, but be careful with that. Still accelerating, you want to position your car somewhat in the middle of the track as you start to turn in for the very long right-hander. Once you do really commit to turning in, lift off power. In some cars, you may want to keep a little bit on though to stabilize the car. If you need a reference point for lifting here, you can look to where the grass on the left ends and lift slightly before you get there. Coast a bit while getting close to the inside curb. Look for what is probably an electricity pole with the cables running over the track. This is about where you want to start accelerating once again. It may seem like you will not stay on track, but you actually have a lot of space on exit you can use. Just make sure to have two wheels back on the track as the curb ends. Head immediately to the right of the track and look for this little piece of tarmac in the grass. You want to brake slightly after that and aim for a very late apex on the next corner, optimally really trail braking your way to that. Start accelerating once you hit this late apex and carry the car all the way to the outside, where you once again make use of the curb. Make your way to the left side of the track and look for the braking boards on the left. Brake around the 150 mark as you point the car to the inside of the corner. Stay kind of close to the inside and carefully accelerate around halfway through. That's around where your car is pointing to the tens if you need a reference. Be gentle on power, as the rear of your car can very easily snap on you if you overdo it here. There is a little indent into the grass on exit, which you will have to make use of if you take the corner optimally. Now it's finally time to breathe again for this short straight, where you want to position your car to the left side and look for the 200 board on the left. You want to brake shortly after that, I'd say around the 180 mark. Trail off the brake as you start to turn in, aiming for the inside curb. You can go on that, but don't have to, as some cars don't really like the angle of it. Start accelerating kind of early though, at the latest when you hit the apex. There's once again a lot of space on exit, and you can even dip two of your wheels off the left side of the curb if you need to. But you will need to move over to the right side of the track fairly quickly, as the next corner is fast approaching. Here I sadly don't have any good reference points in Forza. There is a tent over the barrier on the right, which you can kind of use, but for this one it might be more about experience. Don't brake too hard here, as you're also going uphill, and aim to hit a bit of a late apex once again. You can go on the inside curb a bit as you start to accelerate out, and can once again use all the available track and curb on exit. Stay on the right and start to turn in shortly after the 200 board. You will not need to brake for this corner in most cars, but lift off power until you hit the apex, going close to or even on the inside curb. As you do, or even slightly before, start accelerating again and use all the space on exit. Once again, the curb is part of the track, so you can go wider here than you would think. But immediately after, you need to head to the left side of the track to set up for the final corner. Your braking point will be where the tire wall on the left side ends. Only step the brake shortly and carry as much speed as you can while going close to or even on the inside curb. On exit, you can use all the available track space, but be careful to not hit the wall. I know that happened to me more often than I want to admit. And that's a lap at the full variant of Watkins Glen. Let's take a look at that lap once again from the chase cam perspective, with telemetry enabled so you can still see my inputs. Brake around the 250 mark and turn in late. Only use the flat part on the inside curb and get the best exit speed possible by running very wide. Get up the hill in a smooth fashion by going close to all the inside curbs. Look for the ambulance on the left, which is where the 300 board is, and brake heavily. Release the brake for the first curb and stop it shortly after you pass it. Use all the curbs for a tight line through the chicane. Release for the right-hander and accelerate again at the power line. Use all the space on exit. Brake shortly after the piece of tarmac in the grass on the right. Go for a late apex and accelerate while using the curb on exit. Brake at the 150 mark and take a tight line. Accelerate out carefully shortly after the middle of the corner. Brake at the 180 mark and get close to the curb on the inside. Use all the space on exit and get to the right side quickly. Use the tent or the marshal as a reference for braking. Go for a late apex and use the curb on the inside and on exit. Turn in and lift shortly after the 200 board. Accelerate early and use all the space on exit. Brake shortly at the end of the tire wall and carry a lot of speed onto the start-finish straight. And that's how you get around the full circuit fast. Let's now take a look at the differences in the other layout of Watkins Glen, the short variant. The start of this layout is the exact same as the full circuit, so we're gonna jump to where it differs, which is after the bus stop chicane. Come out of the chicane as you would on the full circuit and lift at the same point. You will want to go on power a little later though, shortly after the power line, or at least delay going on full power for a bit. The exit curves to the right, but you still have quite some space to use. As long as your right wheels don't leave the curb, you are still on track, so don't be afraid to run very wide here. Come over to the right side as we are already approaching the second to last corner. This time we will have to brake for this one. Do that between the 300 and 200 boards on the right, around the 250 mark, maybe a bit later. Don't brake too hard or too long and turn to the apex, getting back on power as soon as you get there. The exit and the last corner are the exact same as in the full circuit, so this is already everything different in the short layout. Let me quickly run you through that section in the chase cam perspective as well. As you exit the bus stop chicane, lift as normal. Get on power a little later after the power line to make the longer turn. Brake at or shortly after the 250 mark and turn in. Get on power as you hit the apex and finish the lap as in the full circuit. Let's quickly check out the pit entry as well. It's the same for both track variants, but you have a choice to make. The risky strategy is to take the last corner normally and try to just make it to the pit lane in time, which may or may not work depending on the car and how well you took the corner. The safer strategy is to take the last corner a bit slower or go on power a bit later. This will make it a lot easier to not miss the pit entry. Regardless of what strategy you choose, you will not have to slow down for this pit entry, as the game does that for you as you hit the line. And that's it. I hope you now have a better grasp on how to get around Watkins Glen quickly. Making these guides takes quite a bit of time and effort. So if you want to see more of these, let me know by hitting the like button and leaving a comment. Let me know your thoughts and if I can improve anything for future track guides. I wish you happy racing and want to thank you a lot for watching. I've been HD Racing. See you next time.